we're here.
We are here.
In a rainy weather. Should I tell what happened to my car?
I think you must.
It's embarrassing.
Nobody but the three of us will.
Yeah, that camera. Everybody
you,
else.
me, and the camera.
Well, we were supposed to start at a certain time. Joe and I made that arrangement.
45 minutes ago or so?
Yeah, something like that, half an hour ago.
Oh, no, 45.
45, okay. I'm trying to... So I get out to my car, or I actually look in my pocket for my keys while in the office in Kiel, and I said, where the heck are my keys? Kim, I got to find my keys. So I go through the church, retrace my steps. They weren't there. So I went out to my car and see if they were around the car. They weren't there, and I look in, and there they are in the ignition. What happened is some gentleman, one of the gentlemen, his name escapes me, came to help Fred and Bill at the building to do work on the door. And we had a delightful conversation. I lost complete track of my keys in there to roll the windows down a little bit. So my battery is dead. Embarrassed to say. My son came and saved the day. He came all the way from Chilton so I could jumpstart my car.
In the midst of the rain.
In the midst of the rain, yes. And he came, and now it's running as we speak so that it can do a little bit of a charge.
So just a heads up for you, when you're looking for your cars or keys when we're done with this, they're in the car.
Okay. Yes, I'll have to take mental note of that. Thank you.
Mental note. Don't have to retrace your steps.
Yes. But one of those days.
Yeah, well, it's been one of those days for me, but in a different way, just busy.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Just to remind all of you, let's make sure we continue to pray for each other, whether it's funerals, which we've got a couple coming up, or whether it is just people who are ill and in need of our love and support and prayer. Again, I don't want to just put that out as to the who's and where's, but just know there's just need out there. So please continue to keep those in prayer.
As you say that, Joe, if you don't mind me saying here, in my travels connection in my hometown, Chilton, at one time we went to the Lutheran Church, St. Martin Lutheran, and I'm visiting with the pastor whom I know quite well, Tom Schmidt, and one of his parishioners come up to me, a woman come up to me, and she said, I'd like to talk to you sometime. And that was half a year, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, and I really need to talk with you. And she started going into it, and I said, well, she made a phone call to my phone. How she got my cell phone, I'm not quite sure. Letting a pretty extended conversation on that message. And then as soon as I got the name, and I called Pastor Tom, and I said, so this is your he said it's not my parishioner, but we talked about that, and there's a general need for all people, not just us Catholics. Everyone is struggling in this world. Well, so then I get it in last night, right before the meeting started. We had the Zoom meeting. We're right in the midst of it, and she comes into the deli.
That's where you zoomed off, no pun intended, but
yeah,
went off during the meeting. I saw you.
Had to leave. She gave me a folder of her life, and she said, this is my life story, and other things, theological things, and I just want to say that it's a troubled life, but I think most of us struggle in our lives.
Yeah.
And we're there for Christ. We're there in Christ, and we're there part of Christ to be that with those others around us. So when Joe talked about praying, we need to keep all people in prayer because we're all struggling.
Well, and Dennis, I was just meeting with somebody planning one of the funerals that I alluded to earlier, not long before this meeting. And the person I was meeting with was telling me about a family member of hers and just the struggles that this person had previously. And I just looked at this person with whom I was meeting and just said, you just never know the struggles that other people carry with them.
No.
In their lives, because life is wonderful, but it's difficult. And we all carry those scars and those those things, those tapes in our head that we continue to play, and so we all just need to be good to each other.
We do.
Yeah, it's difficult enough as it is, without a pandemic and protests and everything going on.
And I don't want to belabor all this, but then I have a.
Yeah, we were not planning to go down this road.
And this is okay, and I think it's okay, Joe.
Yes, it is.
Because there are people out there, I'm sure, that have these questions. One of our employees who's struggling, she's a single mom, and her daughter decided to live with dad, and then it's just a lot of struggle, and she has some personal, deep, wounded issues she's dealing with.
Yeah.
And she knows what I am, what I do, and just the other day, I got a picture of the Blessed Mother of the Eucharist, Mary, Mother of Eucharist. Remember those photos, those pictures?
Beautiful.
They're beautiful. And I had a pack of them. I still have some at my office. So if anybody would like one, they're stunningly beautiful, about that size. So I said to her, I think you should have one of these cards. Because she was a mother and who lost her son. You're a mother who's struggling with that. And she really appreciated that. Interestingly, the following day, she said she thanked me for giving her that, because it helped her to recollect and reflect on her own self and be much more relaxed and much more at ease with the situation, and she's much more calm with that family situation. So we need to be Christ to everybody.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. I'm sorry to go on, but I think we need to bring this out.
I appreciate that. So, Dennis, do you want to introduce our guest for today?
It's the mystery guest. And you could go on what's our line, but...
Or we could just put a picture of someone or something over there.
We wanted one man. I don't know if I should mention his name, but
No.
He decided he didn't want to get on camera.
No.
I won't mention him, but you know who you are if you're watching.
Right. You dang Irishman.
So we tried, and we were so busy, so it's just us.
Yep, just
I hope
us.
you're okay with that.
So, we are not above taking a poll, however, if there is someone you would like to see as a guest in future recordings.
Excellent. Yeah,
Just,
excellent.
postmark it by midnight tomorrow night, and we're all good.
Yes. If you have any ideas, you certainly can call parish offices, each one of them, and say, I think this person would be good, because we want to do this each parish.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, I know we owe St. Anne one, so
yeah, we do.
We missed the rotation. We'll get back there, trust me.
Exactly. Yes.
So some things to talk about, Dennis. We've got, and I'll let you choose, we've got masses reopening this weekend. We've got the updated prayer hour schedule, the updated reconciliation schedule, anointing of the sick, what happened with our communion services. Where do we want to begin? Oh, daily mass too.
Daily mass. There's a lot on the
There's a lot coming up, so where would you like to dive in?
I think we got to really intro, because I've been having questions. We need to talk about the mass coming back, opening back up for this weekend, and give some brief instructions on that, and talk about that.
So let's do that. The good news is, and it really is good news, it's hopeful, even if it's not the full step, it's a really good step. And that is that for the first time in 12 weeks,
12 weeks, I was wondering what that was.
We are reopening for Mass in the Diocese of Green Bay. So, that's an amazing thing that in our lifetimes, I hope and suspect we'll never see again.
I hope we don't see it again.
That for 3 months our churches were closed. But we are reopening to a 25% capacity. Now, there may be people thinking, how are we going to turn people away? And I hope that we never have to deal with any of that. All are welcome and invited. The reason we're beginning with what they call, what the diocese is asking as a 25% capacity, is so we can socially distance within our respective parishes. Holy Rosary has the greatest capacity, so we're going to be around 170 that we're limited to. Peter and Paul, roughly 130 to 125, 130. But we can overflow into the narthex, and then St. Anne in the 75 to 80 range again. But then we've got the family room and things too. So my point is, don't let it stop you from coming. Now, I was kind of dumb. In a letter that either you have received or will receive, you're going to see that we're opening the church doors a half hour beforehand, which sounds just fine until you realize that reconciliation on Saturday is an hour before Mass, or here at Holy Rosary, or 45 minutes before Mass at Peter and Paul. So, yeah, don't worry, doors will be open then.
That's what we call an oops.
Yeah, that's an oops. So they'll be open for reconciliation. We ask and encourage people to wear masks, and we will have people taking your temperature. When you come in the doors, there'll be two main entries at all three of our parishes. Here at Holy Rosary, the main west wing and the north wing. So we ask that you come in through one of those doors. At St. Anne, it will be, again, in the main entryway area, which is the west side, and then the ramp area on the south side. At Saints Peter and Paul, it will be the Fremont Street entrance and the breezeway by the prayer garden and off the parking lot, so what would be the west side. We ask that people enter through those. When you exit, you can exit wherever you want to go. But when you enter, we're asking that you get your temperature taken. Again, we're not going to make anybody do anything.
No, we can't do that.
We can't do that.
No.
And if there are people that this is really important to them, that they don't want it, I respect that. We respect that.
Absolutely, yes.
And we're not going to make anybody do anything. But we ask for the sake, and the reason we are, it's the diocese asking us to do this, and I don't have any problem with that, it's an act of love, is what we're trying to do. For those who are anxious, I'm not in that grouping that is more elderly and more susceptible to the virus. But there are people that will be coming back that are. And I think as an act of love, so they can pray better and not be more anxious, I intend to wear my mask at Mass, and I hope others do too. But again, we leave that in your good hands. We're not going to make anybody do anything. We understand what some people say. But anyway, when you come, when we open these doors, and again, they'll be open about a half hour beforehand on Sunday, but they'll be open 45 to an hour before on Saturday. Come, we'll have your temperature taken, hope so. We'll have people help seat you, but about every other pew will be taped off, and you sit where you usually like to sit, and we'll just make sure that we socially distance. Of course, families can sit together, couples sit together, no problem, but we'll try to keep, one family 6 feet from another, or one couple 6 feet from another, and things like that.
Yeah. I was asked about the Mass and video recording.
Oh, yeah.
Currently, we record, or prior to this weekend, we recorded right near the sanctuary, and now we're going to be recording at Peter and Paul. Tentatively, we're going to open up the other parishes from the choir loft. So we're going to continue recording the Mass,
Yeah.
and it'll go to YouTube. There's more to come later, but
We'll talk a little bit more about that, but yeah.
Yeah, that we're going to continue doing.
Yeah. So if you are not going to be coming this weekend, just know.
It'll be up and ready to go for you.
Yeah. Any other questions with the Mass reopen? And now again, so there'll be things like St. Anne and Peter and Paul will come up on the sides for communion instead of the middle. Holy Rosary will still be in the middle. Dennis has some nice decals that'll be on the floor for every 6 feet, so we know how far to space ourselves. And don't worry, they've all been tested at each of our locations, and they'll be okay to be lifted back up. We'll have an usher that will let you out at the end of Mass, kind of like at a wedding, so we can be socially distanced. We're just going to do our best to keep everybody socially distant. We just ask for your help with all this as well. But the most important thing is not to get caught up in the details of how am I going to become and coming and sat and leaving and getting community. The most important thing is it'll be Mass again. And we all know the routine with Mass. Father John will be here. Father Carl will be at St. Anne and Peter and Paul. And we can pray again. We can pray as a community. So we hope to see you. And if not, if you need to take a little more time, we understand that completely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we have to respect that, and we will. So I think that's good that that they have the option to wear the mask, and I can't wait to see and pray with you, to see everyone again. That I'm really excited about.
Yeah. So a couple of smaller details with the reopening. Because of that, we're readjusting some of the other things that we're doing. Like we had reconciliation on Wednesday nights and Sunday morning. Thank you, Father Carl, for what a blessing he has been in the midst of all of this.
Oh, yes.
But now we'll go back to our regularly scheduled program with reconciliation. Father John will be here at Holy Rosary at 3 o'clock on Saturdays. Father Carl at 3:15 on Saturdays at Peter and Paul. And we'll do, I think it's every third weekend, but don't quote me, St. Anne, on that for Father Carl as well. So we'll get all those things back in routine. So no longer the Wednesday, Sunday morning. It'll be the regular schedule there. We will start up with daily Mass next week. So Tuesday, 8:30, Peter and Paul in the church. Wednesday, 8:30, Holy Rosary in the church. Thursday, 8:30, St. Anne in the church. So come and pray with us.
Yes. We'll be socially distancing.
Yep.
And the pews will be set up in such a way that you'll be social distance.
Yeah.
And that will remain for the foreseeable future until the diocese asks us to.
Yeah, and that may be a short time. We don't know. But we will communicate to you and let you know, but at least for now, we know that's what it is. We have had prayer times every day. It was Monday through Sunday. And then recently when we started our communion services, we went Monday to Friday, and 3 to 6 we had prayer days every day. Well, now because churches are reopening for Mass and things like that, we will have 3 times a week a prayer hour at each one of our parishes. So Mondays from 4 to 5 is Saints Peter and Paul. And Dcn Dennis will be there.
I'll be there.
Wednesdays from 4:30 to 5:30 will be Holy Rosary. And we'll put the Eucharist out for exposition and adoration. Deacon Randy will be there. And Fridays from 4 to 5 will be St. Anne, and I will be there. So again, 3 opportunities just to come in silent prayer and be before the Blessed Sacrament in prayer.
Just relax.
Yeah.
And just be present to that. Yeah. I saw people come and go. It may, I don't know how long we're doing it, but it's sort of a trial and see how it goes. It gives us an opportunity just to pause and rest and relax in that.
It was a very beautiful and good thing these last 3 months.
Yes, it was.
In the midst of the pandemic. And so we'll see if that is a habit that people want to continue. And if they do, we'll take a look at that. And if they don't, if you all say, nope, we're back at Mass, we're good, then we'll go back just to our monthly holy hour that we've had before. But this is just a chance for us to rethink and see what you are looking for. So if there are other options and ideas, we want to hear that from you too.
Yes.
The last thing I'll say, Dennis, and then I want you to talk about a bit about the cameras, if you could. Our first anointing of the sick service will be back. If it is something in the midst of all this stuff that you would like to see to be anointed and partake in the healing act of God through that sacrament, it will be at St. Anne on Sunday the 21st of June after their Mass. So give or take 8:45 in the worship space at St. Anne, Sunday morning the 21st of June. And you're all welcome to be a part of that.
Yeah, great. Joe alluded to the fact of recording. Well, and we talked about this in a previous session of Live from the Living Room.
Yep.
And what we want to do, and what we discovered in recording the Mass at the 3 different locations, it's quite a process what we're doing now, and his nephew is going to help streamline it. But the process is, what we're recording now, I have to take off that camera, put it on my computer, and on my computer upload to YouTube. A little bit of a time to do all that. And I learned a lot about technology, more than I expected, but that's okay. But what we discovered in that is people want to see their parish. They want to see their people. Because when I think about YouTube, what we're doing here is we have all the nursing homes and assisted living facilities who are watching the Mass on our YouTube. Previously, we did it a DVD from Peter and Paul. And that DVD worked sometimes, and maybe it skipped sometimes, and it wasn't 100% perfect. YouTube allows us to have an easier distribution, but more than that, a better quality. So that's going to continue. But we need to establish a camera, what we're video recording on this one, at each location. So thankfully, someone from Holy Rosary has already donated some money to that.
Well, indicated that they would like to.
Yeah, indicated, yes. And so we're going to have a recording system here at Holy Rosary and at Peter and Paul. And St. Anne. And the one at Holy Rosary, I have to call a friend of mine in, and it's a little bit more elaborate than what we're using now because of the space. But it's essentially, we're going to record that Mass. And Joe's nephew, Xavier Piper, right? His last name? He very savvy. He's a sharp young man on technology. And he's going to show us other ways of helping improve the delivery of these liturgies. In other words, he says, I won't give it bored with the technology or the names of the technology, but we will be able to, with Xavier's help, while we're recording the Mass, it'll be uploaded, it'll be streamed live on YouTube, and then recorded. So if you're up at 7:45, you can watch it from St. Anne. Or if you're at 4 o'clock from Peter and Paul, you can watch it live from streamed live on YouTube. Or if you do it Sunday morning, you can watch it on YouTube as they're recorded.
So Dennis, will that be ready this week, next week? How soon are we talking?
Well, your nephew's going to help me with this, but we're going to do recording right now from Peter and Paul, and I have someone who's recording it, and then he is going to take in this camera we're looking at now, we're using, there's a little SD card in there. He's going to take that SD card out, and he's going to take it home, and he's going to video edit and upload it from YouTube Saturday night. So
in other words, this finish line that we're talking about for the live streaming, in a sense, on YouTube,
a couple weeks off.
It's a goal, and maybe even more than a couple of weeks. And we hope to have a camera system set up here at Holy Rosary, which, because of the setup, may be a little more expensive, but we're working on that. And one at St. Anne, very similar to the one we have, and hope to get those in play very soon.
Yes, we really need to do that.
But in the meantime, it'll be Peter and Paul for
at this point. Yeah, and essentially, and Xavier's going to help with moving it quicker, streamlining at Peter and Paul until we get the other location set up. And so it's all coming, and and that's our goal. I'm not sure when we'll hit it, but it won't be that far off.
So anything else we need to be sharing? Your car run out of gas out there yet?
I'm hoping. I just filled it up yesterday, so perhaps it will be good. Right. No, I just hope it doesn't automatically lock.
I thought I just saw somebody driving it by.
That would be a shame. I hope it doesn't automatically lock the door, so I have to call my son to bring the other key over.
That's right.
Yeah, no, I think. No, as long as I can't think of anything else. Thankfully, Fred's not here to highlight other aspects of our journey.
I've seen no producing this last week on where the story's going, so that could be bad news for you. In that
that is frightening. Yeah,
that's the calm before the storm. Special congratulations to the 6 young men and women here at Holy Rosary who will be receiving first Eucharist for the first time this coming Sunday. And so we're excited to celebrate the Feast of the Body and Blood of Christ with them.
Yes, that's exciting.
It is.
That really
It is. We've waited a long time. So
Yeah.
And Peter and Paul, you've got about 18 young men and women who are going to be doing the same thing in about 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
we're getting there for you too.
Yeah. And speaking of that, with the first Eucharist, Danielle asked if we can have that stream live for that liturgy, and I think I'm gonna do is push your nephew just a little bit and see if he can move this along to get us to do live. But if we do that, then it's got to be semi-permanent to do that live all the time. So
Be nice.
yeah.
Be nice.
So you'll see a lot coming on with our liturgies and because we want to also do with the prayer services that we do and the rosaries. That's all out there as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
In the meantime, if there are guests you'd like to see, let us know.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks for spending
Thank
time
you.
with us.
God
again.
bless and have a wonderful day.
Amen.